Lions news here. That's what we're going to be talking about here. Obviously, the injury to John Cominsky. We're going to go over an article of 3 free agent replacements they believe that they could use to help alleviate the pain. We'll go over that. Camp observations for today. Today's practice alone, no other. Let's go. I'm waiting for all the I's to be dotted, T's crossed, so everybody else can make content on this channel. And we're just waiting. We're in limbo here. It's just needs to get done. It's going to happen. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It will happen at some point. It definitely is going to do that. Let me lower my head here a little bit. As you know, John Cominsky, he got injured, and he is basically done for the year. MCL, knee, 6-month recovery. So with him out, there has been a video here talking about replacements I've talked about on my personal channel. I haven't even went through this, so I don't even know who's on the list. Let's see if this is a realistic possibility for the Lions. Breland Speaks might be the most natural fit for John Cominsky there. He is like Elisa. Jake Bates played in the Michigan Panthers past spring and spent his time at Ford Field, the UFL product. So homegrown talent, I agree. I think that's always going to be the first option. Any of these players that are here to potentially to replace John Cominsky, always look inside first. And that is the most responsible thing to do. And if you trust Brad Holmes and his ability to build the roster the correct way, then you trust that he finds talent. That generally is not just free agents. It's finding special players on the cheap that can help the team out, whether it be younger players that are undrafted rookies or players who may not be regarded highly for the rest of the NFL. They're taking the right pro trade here, and I agree with that first one. So do you agree? Do you think that the Detroit Lions should look homegrown? Why for yes and for no? Let's continue on here. Charles Harris. I'm just going to put no right there. Let's move on. Shaq Lawson. I would rather take an option of Shaq Lawson for sure compared to going backwards in Charles Harris. At least to be something different. I'm kind of shocked that they just didn't put in players whom like a Yannick Ngakoue or Carl Lawson that I had on here, but they're definitely going down to the lower end of the spectrum for some of these players. I don't think it's right for the Lions to go backwards to Charles Harris. You just go into a different direction. He didn't do anything for the Lions last year. Really, I would rather take an undrafted guy than bring somebody who is already that is not going to live up to it. So Shaq Lawson, homegrown, or the guys that I mentioned, I think is probably the best way to go to alleviate the situation. And I got to say, too, a big part of all of this is the Detroit Lions having the new defensive line coach, Terrell Williams. This guy is really making the Lions' defensive line look better so far in camp. Players are responding well to him, and you're seeing a difference. So far, so great. I mean, that's exactly what we've been wanting to see. Was it the coach or was it all the players why this defensive line was not doing, at least for getting to the quarterback, not stopping the run because they were great? Was that the reason why? And it looks like in camp that's some of the reason. Yeah, 100%. They said they're going to dial Matthew Betts back a little bit, and I think that's important. You throw too much at some players, not everybody is going to be responding fast. They don't got the highest of IQs like a Sam Laporta where you can just remember something the first time, right? Not everybody is that fast and that speed, and they want to slow it down a little bit for Matthew Betts, and especially when you have Cominsky go down. Let's see, can Betts fill that role? Let not throw too much at him because he is one of the players that potentially could replace him, right? He is a player trying to make this roster, and we've been going back and forth. Will it be John Cominsky or Matthew Betts? Who is going to be the outside in? Matthew Betts potentially could take this spot because Cominsky basically done for the year. Talking about here that Antoine Green needs to show a little bit more. I understand that. I've never really thought Antoine Green was going to be anything more than a 5. That was my expectations. He's a 7th-round pick. And they're basically talking about that right here. There's other players that's kind of taking the step forward. Darius Fountain, who I've been talking about forever. Khalif Raymond, he's always going to take the step forward. Maurice Alexander is more of a special teams guy, even though he's got some speed to him. And Caden Davis. So, look, Green, if he's trying to make the roster as a wide receiver 6, and I think that's what it would be, you'd have to have 6 receivers. I truly don't believe right now he's sitting at 5. I would have Donovan Peoples-Jones at 5, Antoine Green at 6. Now, look, Isaiah Williams can come in here, talk about other players like Caden Davis, whatever, but, for him to make this roster for Antoine Green, it's going to be difficult. He has a shot for sure, but he's not going to beat out St. Brown. He's not going to beat out Jamison Williams. He's not going to beat out Khalif Raymond. And Darius Fountain is doing really good. And that leaves you with Antoine Green, Donovan Peoples-Jones. So I do concur that he needs to show more if he's wanting to make the roster. That's what I'm looking at. Jake Bates says, good, get more comfortable. Talking about Jake Bates, operations been really good. I have great people working for me, great coaching staff, so it's been good. Good for Jake Bates. It's quite interesting how this guy came to be, basically out of nowhere, and now he's looking to be our kicker is amazing. Reaction to Michael Becker's injury, I'm sure, he also has speedy recovery. Obviously, there is a competition element, and let's keep it 100. I'm sure he didn't want to see an injury to Michael Badgley, but I think they gave him a peace of mind as well, because that's who he's battling against, and now it's pretty much his job. So for somebody to go from nothing to something like this is really nice to see. Talking about the approach to kicking during the live reps, all that lovely stuff. So let's get back to here, the quick hits. Brian Branch broke up an early pass intended for Green, a sign of a larger effort made by the defense. Still getting your hands on the ball with less contact, and this is a trend that we have been seeing here. First off, in the comment section, do you think that where do you rank the Lions' defense this year? 1 through 32, one of the best in the NFL, 32 if not. We're seeing a lot right now of the defense starting to take a command a little bit in practice, and that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Why is that? Because we know the Lions offense is really good. We know what we have there. These guys are top 5. It's not the offense that we have been worrying about. It has been clearly simply the defense. The defensive line has shown significant improvement from last year. That's good. The secondary is looking really good. And you're starting to see plays now be made with the likes of Ennis Rakestraw, get an interception, physical player. The defense, Derek Barnes, physical. Terry Arnold, they're hands-on. Same with Carlton Davis. This defense is now starting to get a little bit better in gel. This is the early stages of this defense, right? It's been a week into training camp, but they're starting to show good signs where they're starting to win their matchups against the Lions offense. That's awesome because iron sharpens iron. And when you got an offense such as we do, it's one of the best in football, and our defense is starting to give it problems, thank God, right? Thank God. That's exactly what we want to hear. That's exactly what we want to see is Terry and Arnold, Carlton Davis, and these guys take that step forward. Next, Hendon Hooker pass tip following a failed completion. He also working on his tempo with the offense at this point during practice. He needs to get better with less staring down the receiver. It's going to take some reps there. He's got to do better than that. You can't stare down the receiver in the red zone. You're going to get interceptions, automatic fail. At the end of the practice, several members of the defensive line took scooters off the practice field. Hey, cool. Justin Rogers, founder of the Nick, took a nice bath while conducting an interview after practice, and Just Rogers out of the way, by the way. Officials made an appearance in practice. The Lions continue preparation as joint practices with the Giants next week, and that's going to take us to the point here is we got the Lions in Giants practice next week, and then the preseason game on Thursday. Now, again, we get into this. This is a different type of things that we got to pay attention to for next week in the Lions and Giants. Giants aren't a good football team. I'm going to tell you right now, I think they're a bottom 3 team in the NFL. So, just an FYI. So, if we absolutely dominate this team, no, that's good for sure. But this is not, we're not talking about a team like the Houston Texans, Kansas City Chiefs, the 49ers, or anything like that. This is a bottom feeder team. Also, who cares about winning or losing the preseason? Yeah, we all want to say, yeah, the Lions won, right? it doesn't mean anything. Preseason doesn't mean anything. So we need to be watching multiple things in the preseason. And I think just as more important to preseason is the training camp with the Giants itself, as how each practice is going. Is just as important to me as the preseason game itself. And for me is, how is our backups doing? How is Hendon Hooker doing? If he's going to have problems against the Giants defense, that is something that we're going to be watching forward to next week. Is, does he take a step forward each practice? Because now it's a different team. This is not the Lions team. It's a different team. Jake Bates, same situation here. It's not the Lions players, right? You're going to be going against all of the folks trying to make this 53-man roster with all the battles between the wide receivers, the pass rushers, the immense secondary, in which is going to be fabulous to watch. We're going to see players in preseason like the likes of Emmanuel Mosley, Ennis Rakestraw. You're going to see some players, the big-name players, playing in it because our depth is really good at corner, so don't get upset you see Ennis Rakestraw in the fourth quarter. Guys, this is just the way it is. Stephen Gilmore, so a lot to happen in this next week. And this next week's really important. I like training camp when we're going against our own guys. When you start to go against competition of other teams, you can really kind of get an idea where we're at as a unit. But again, this is the Giants. This is not this significant team. But we do play preseason games against Kansas City Chiefs, right? And so we'll be able to really gauge it. I think our backups and Kansas City's backups will be all in. We're not going to probably play our starters. But that's a better gauge, right? That's absolutely a better gauge. So today was a walkthrough, a little bit easy of a day for these guys. Let me know your thoughts. I think this is a successful camp so far. I think it's a great camp, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. With that said, folks, adios.